Mr. Speaker, for many months, New Zealanders have been eagerly awaiting for the government to make the decision to recognise Palestine as a state. We heard on numerous occasions the push for a two-state solution from this government. For many months, the Prime Minister has been lacking the courage to put his foot down, be a leader, and recognise the other state in this two-state solution.
Member knows that's not an appropriate statement to make. Point of order, the Right Honourable Chris Hipkins.
The ministerial statement made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs also contained very inflammatory attacks on other members of the House.
No, it didn't.
The Minister set the tone for the debate in his opening remarks.
I'm sorry, I'm not accepting that. The ministerial statement was circulated ahead of time. There was no objection to it, and it did not specifically mention any member, as the Honourable Penny Hipkins just has.
Mr. Speaker, for many months the Prime Minister has failed to recognise the other state in this two-state solution. This government talks about process, about considering options, about waiting for the right time. But while the Prime Minister and his government hesitates, countless innocents are being maimed and killed, and families are being driven from their homes. New Zealanders expect their leaders to have courage, to take a stand. It is the belief of the Labour Party that this government lacks that. New Zealand has a proud tradition of standing on the right side of history, opposing apartheid, leading the charge towards a nuclear-free world, opposing the catastrophic war in Iraq, and playing a significant role in establishing the rules-based international order in the aftermath of the Second World War. The Prime Minister has undermined that tradition. It is not leadership to watch atrocities unfold on our screens and say, quote, let's review it again in a month or a year, end quote. It is not leadership to wait for coalition partners to stop squabbling before deciding to do nothing. When history calls, a true leader will answer. On Palestine, the Prime Minister has let the call go unanswered. The decisiveness that has been demonstrated by other countries only reinforces that. This is not just a failure of policy or the choice between recognition and non-recognition. It is a failure of conviction, a failure of principle, and a failure of leadership. When the leadership fails, humanity takes actions into its own hands. The flotilla that has been intercepted in recent days is an example of this. Israel's treatment of humanitarian flotillas has been heavy-handed and unlawful. The government must stand up for its people and demand their safety without hesitation. New Zealand deserves a leader who will stand with humanity and most of the international community and not wobble indecisively. New Zealand's reputation and moral authority has already suffered thanks to this government and must stop. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, my questions to the Minister. Does he agree with the hundreds of thousands of peaceful citizens in this country that the government of New Zealand needs to take more action, like sanctions, in response to the unfolding genocide by the government of Israel against innocent and defenceless Palestine civilians?
There's no question on a ministerial debate. If that, sorry? No, there's not.
Mr. Speaker.
I'll take advice.
Mr. Speaker, to help out, the standing orders were changed about 3 parliaments ago so that a ministerial statement can be followed by questions. As the first minister ever to face one of those things, I can say that this is absolutely now an integral part of a ministerial statement process.
Well, I don't recall actually a motion being put before the House. It was a statement.
Mr. Speaker, it was a change of the standing orders, and a minister is obliged to answer the questions.
Yeah, I am correct. There's no question before the House, but there is a question and answer format. And members can ask questions and have answers to those questions in their 5-minute call. At the moment, there's no one seeking a call.
Standing Order 365(1) says, following a ministerial statement, the leader of each party, which of course is able to be delegated to other members, or authorised leader may comment on the ministerial statement, ask questions of the minister who made the ministerial statement to elucidate more information about that.
That's right. No question about that, but someone hasn't done that. You asked me if there's no motion. If the member's got another 1.2 minutes, a minute and 12 seconds to go, and he's got a question, he can ask it.
Yeah. Thank you,
I'm
Mr.
sorry.
Speaker.
I'm sorry.
I'll ask my question again.
Ask your question again, sorry.
Please, to the Minister. Does he agree with the hundreds of thousands of peaceful citizens in this country that the Government of New Zealand needs to take more action, like sanctions, in response to the unfolding genocide by the Government of Israel against innocent and defenceless Palestinian civilians?
The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
Now, what's fascinating about that question is that there was a poll where 60% of New Zealanders did not express support for recognition. It was almost as though that majority is of no moment. 60% did not express it. And it was followed up by a stuff poll that said 55-45 against recognition, until it was distorted by people voting countless times. So to make the statement that New Zealanders in the majority are for recognition is demonstrably, numerically, wrong.
Mr. Speaker, further to the Minister, does the Minister agree that New Zealand was put on notice in 2024 by the International Court of Justice that it had legal obligation to prevent genocide in Gaza, that is not necessary for a definitive determination on genocide to be made before action is taken, and what actions has the government taken to prevent genocide in Gaza?
Point of order.
Point of order, the Honourable Shane Jones.
Following on from the Leader of the Opposition, Standing Order 365(1)(b). That question does not elucidate anything to do with this ministerial statement. It traverses issues to do with the International Court of Justice, which was not referred to by the member.
I think given that it's in the nature of the ministerial statements have become now in the nature of a debate where questions can be asked, to suggest that in a debate or a ministerial statement about the government position on Palestine there couldn't be some reference to other views on it would be, I think, quite wrong. The question can stand. The Right Honourable Winston Peters.
The reality is, again, that is a misstatement of the actual facts here. But here's the point, really. Helen Clark had 9 years to recognise Palestine.
That's right.
She didn't. Jacinda Ardern had 5 years to recognise Palestine. She didn't. Mr Hipkins had a year to recognise Palestine, and he didn't. We are sick of people who are lions in opposition and lambs in government.
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, what does the Minister believe constitutes the New Zealand Government's duty to prevent genocide under the Genocide Convention, and what actions has New Zealand not taken on the matter in Gaza?
The reality is there has been no International Court of Justice ruling to that effect. Or does he think that we should just ignore the International Court of Justice and just come to our own interpretation, legally qualified or otherwise?
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, at the time the Minister made his speech to the UN General Assembly, was New Zealand aware, or did New Zealand have any involvement in the peace plan proposed by the US President Donald Trump?
The truthful answer to that is no, excepting we did say at the end of the speech that we hoped that there was time for countries with influence to step up. And we are very much encouraged by all those Middle Eastern countries, all the way to Indonesia, where the President made a superb speech, and had a different view, but a superb speech at the United Nations, which saw that they believe there's a chance now for peace to work. Why aren't people here celebrating that?
Mr. Speaker, to the Minister, is the expectation that the peace plan as proposed by the United States must be fully implemented before this government will recognise Palestine as a state?
Miles away from the state.
Well, again, the primary answer to the question began with the criteria from the Montevideo Convention about recognition. That has not been satisfied. There are fundamental things here that other countries might have changed because of enormous pressure back home. But other countries, and New Zealand was one of them, that asked this of them. Oh, yes? So what happens tomorrow after you make that decision?
That's right.
What changes? And so we were making a speech at the United Nations where all this recognition changed nothing until Trump, alongside Saudi Arabia and others, got together a peace plan. And we hope it works.